Hello, I'm Mark Wogan, and this is, of course, Spooning with Mark Wogan. Today's episode is brought to you by Tails.com, the 100% tailored dog food subscription. At Tails.com, there is no such thing as average dog food, because there's no such thing as an average dog, especially my dogs. My dogs, like me, their general happiness starts with being fed properly. And that is why I am loving Tails.com for my dogs at the moment. It was super easy for me to set up my tailored food plan for both my dogs, especially Murphy, who is always known for being a little bit hyperactive and always hungry. It's great to know that both the dogs, Murphy and Misty, are getting all their nutritional needs met with their specially tailored plan on Tails.com. It also gets delivered to your door, which is a bonus. Tails.com creates personalised meal plans along with their vets to ensure that your dog's well-being is catered for, their coat, their gut health, everything. Plus, it's super convenient. It's delivered directly to your door once a month on a subscription plan. Visit Tails.com to learn more. That's Tails.com. Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. As ever, we are here in the hallowed portals of the Mount Street restaurant in London's Mayfair. And Jamie Shears, the executive chef, is downstairs cooking up a storm for my guest, who will be trying food that they love and food that they hate. And they will be wearing a blindfold whilst they do it. Now, this week's episode is a very, very special episode because we have a number of guests with us. We have, and I'm going to refer to my notes here so I don't get anybody's name wrong, got a couple of people sitting over there. Go on, have a look at them. We've got Jane, David, Julia, and Lucy, and then obviously Johnny with his laptop, and hiding around the corner is Hiten. But these lovely people have donated a vast amount of money to children with cancer to come and see us do Spooning with Mark Wogan. And on top of that, they get an extra special guest. Now, today's guest, where do we start? She's the queen of tea time. She's been a Strictly semi-finalist. She knows about value and how to spend less to get it. Is there no end to this woman's talents? Will you please welcome Alex Jones. Hello.
Hi, Mark.
How are you?
That was a very nice introduction.
Well, I don't write them.
Yeah, well, it's lovely.
But
well done, Johnny.
Yeah, well done, Johnny.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you are so part of the fabric of daily television now, and have been for such a long time. I mean, obviously you're in my dad's old slot.
I know.
7 o'clock.
I used to remember watching your dad when I was little, and sometimes I do think that, wow, am I the girl version of Wogan?
Yeah, you are.
And in some ways I am, but I've got a friend with me, whereas your dad did it all on his own.
Well, you've got
you
appear to have a revolving door of friends. I mean, how many
Yes.
TV husbands have you had? Have you lost count? I mean, you're not a great counter by all accounts, are you?
No. It's a little bit like Tinder, where I turn up and I don't really know who's going to be there.
Let's go all the way back. Because
Okay.
for those who maybe live under a rock, you're Welsh.
I
and you
am.
were born in Carmarthenshire.
I've lost the accent though, so it's hard to tell.
Come on.
Oh, I haven't.
But you were always a performer at some level. You trained as a ballet dancer, didn't you?
Well, I mean, did you get that from Google? That's not.
No,
that's
I got that
not,
from Johnny.
Right,
Where
Johnny.
he gets it from, I don't know.
No, I did ballet as a kid, but just like all girls do ballet. Not in a serious way.
So you don't think that lent any kind of expertise to your appearance on Strictly in 2011, was it?
It was 2011. I'll give you an insight. This is how bad my dancing was.
Okay.
So, first Saturday night, I was on the telly on Strictly. Mum and Dad were at home having a gin and tonic, and Mum turned to Dad and said, "Ugh, this is really spoiling it for me this year, the fact that I was on it." She said, now I'm just anxious. So, you see, Mark, that's the kind of family I come from.
It's not dissimilar to my family.
This is why we remain grounded, because those
No.
are the sort of comments that are quite normal.
My mother was never shy of pointing out a shortcoming.
Exactly.
And would find it very amusing when you reacted badly to having that pointed out.
Yes.
But do you think it is that kind of Welsh-Irish thing?
I think so. I mean, strictly, I was terrible for a long time. I don't know how I made it to the semi-finals.
You got to the semi-finals.
Well, I think it was because I had a country, to be fair, behind me. Because Wales, if nothing else, are very supportive. They're lovely people. But in terms of growing up in Wales, I think it's part of it. You have to perform. And I was super shy. I was the shyest child.
Can you sing?
No, I can't actually.
No.
I can hold a tune barely.
Which doesn't go down well in Wales, does it?
No. I'm the odd one out. Everybody can sing in Wales, but it doesn't matter if you can sing, dance, act, whatever. From a very young age, you are forced into performing. We have this thing called the Eisteddfod, which is like a big festival, and all age groups compete from 4 up to 25, and you have to find something to do. So it's a brilliant thing because, kids in Wales, doesn't matter if they've got talent or not, they're on that stage come hell or high water.
I mean, that is always that thing where, my Harry now is 17 and has aspirations to act.
Does he?
Yes. We say aspirations. He's like, no, that's the only thing I'm ever doing. He might learn. Anyway, that thing of going to endless performances of watching other people's children as well is quite painful.
It can be, if the talent is lacking, it can be.
So that is part of the fabric of Wales, is you've got to watch lots of not very talented children perform.
You do.
But
I think it's really good for confidence, and it puts everybody in an even playing field, which I think is something England could learn from. That's quite a big statement, isn't it? But I do think that lots of children would never have the opportunity to stand on a stage unless they really shone brightly. And there's something quite nice about everybody having the same opportunity and sort of being coerced into it a little bit. But it does wonders for confidence. I would never be in this job if it wasn't for that background growing up.
Now, do you find the Welsh, because I certainly know with the Irish, is the Welsh seem to really celebrate their people who are successful, whether it's going back, I mean, the first sort of Welshman that was of any note to me was Max Boyce when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah.
But whether it was Richard Burton, or yourself, or any of the great actors that have come out of Wales, they tend to celebrate their successful people, whereas the Irish are a little bit like, you think you're big now,
Do you think?
Yeah, no, the Irish are very like, don't go getting above yourself.
Yeah, I quite like that. I mean, again, as I said, it's a very supportive country to come from, and actually, you panic about, I always think if I put a foot wrong, they won't let me back over that bridge. So I've always got that in the back of my mind.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So they're celebratory but unforgiving.
Correct.
Okay. So you started out life, or the first time you sort of came to notoriety, you were sticking grapes in your pants and sort of all that kind of stuff. And
I can see those words of doom on your notes.
Prickly heat.
Prickly heat.
Which comes back to haunt you
on
a regular basis, doesn't it?
What happened was, to fill sort of time during the school holidays and then uni holidays, I used to do sort of promotional work. Now, do you know what that means?
Yes.
It's kind of like handing out leaflets and spraying some perfume on somebody in a shopping centre, those sorts of jobs.
A visual merchandiser, I think they call it
Visual
now.
merchandiser, very good. Except when nobody was looking, I'd bin all the leaflets and go home. Yeah, I wasn't very good at it. But I was with an agency and they rang one day and they said, there's a television show and they are casting for people to take part. And I was at home in Ammanford where I lived. And I said, all right then, well, I'll get on a bus and go to Cardiff for a laugh. And they said, okay. It's in this hotel called the Angel Hotel. So off I went to the Angel Hotel. And you had to pretend to read the weather and do some funny games. And in the end, they said, we're casting for sort of like It's a Knockout on the beach in Magaluf. Well, I didn't need to be asked twice.
No.
I threw myself into it, Mark.
Oh, you did?
I mean, I really went for it.
There is visual evidence.
And then they said, great, you're through the first round. Now we need you to come to Brown's Hotel in London, which was the big deal at the time, back in the 90s, end of the 90s. And I said, all right then, well, I'll come. And more of the same. And then they said, right, we'd like you to come. I thought, brilliant. A month in Magaluf, amazing. My parents did not think this was amazing. They were like, no, absolutely not. You're doing your finals. It's going to coincide with your finals. I said, oh, it'll be all right. University said, absolutely not. Then they rang my tutor. I said, come on, Hazel. You know, I'm doing theatre, film and television. This is an insight into how the television industry works. So after a little bit of campaigning, she gave in and she said, okay, we'll fly your papers to Magaluf, to Mallorca, and then you will have to do your exams out there the same time as your friends are doing them here. So I was in a gym on my own, exactly how you would be here, with Davina McCall, who was presenting Prickly Heat as the invigilator. Yeah, so it was all very odd, right? So Davina and Julian Clary were presenting this show called Prickly Heat. And so sort of all the others would be doing games on the beach, and then they would whisk me away and go, are you ready? We need to take you now for your English exam. So off I'd go to this gymnasium in Palma and sit there with Davina doing all this sort of business. 10 minutes left. And I'd be like, oh. And it was all right, but the day before, I think it was American drama was the exam, and the day before we were out on a catamaran, you know, we were filming for this. And some of the boys just threw my notes into the sea. Oh. Yeah, they were like, you don't want to be doing that, Al. I was like, well, I don't want to be doing it. No. But my parents are going to go nuts if I also fail the exams.
Which you didn't.
I didn't. I had a 2-1.
No, exactly.
It's all right, isn't it?
What does they say? A 2-1 means you still had fun.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was best of both worlds.
A first means you maybe didn't enjoy university fully.
Yeah, no.
So 2010, let's go fast forward a bit. 2010, the previous incumbents of the One Show felt that they would rather get up really early in the morning.
Yeah, that was a bad decision.
Yeah, worked out well for them. One Show's still going. But One Show, because the then head of BBC, the reason he put it together, Peter Fincham, was like he wanted to bring back essentially a modern version of Nationwide.
He did.
Which I certainly grew up watching. And now it's so, as I was saying in the intro, it's so part of the TV furniture, you can never imagine it not being there. I mean, I remember with Dad, he was in that same slot. They secretly built a village in Spain without telling him. El Dorado. Do you remember El Dorado?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
What? They thought that El Dorado was going to be more popular than that?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But there we go. And so they sacked him.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, because his viewing figures, I think, had dropped by about 1 million. He was still getting about 10 million every night. But, you know, it's not 12 million anymore. Maybe it's lost a bit of its appeal.
I tell you what, they do make some funny decisions, don't they?
They do. But it was a good decision putting you on it.
Well, when I had the phone call, it was all a bit odd. Again, you see, this is my life, Mark. The phone went, and I went, hello, hello. And a voice on the other side said, hiya, my name's Gareth, and I'm ringing from the BBC. Hiten over there will know Gareth. We've just seen your show reel on YouTube. It's like, all right. And we'd like you to come for a meeting to talk about the One Show. I said, oh, okay, well, I'm a bit busy at the minute. And I was doing a surfing program, a poker program, a holiday program, a fashion program, and kind of just general, kind of like a bit of a chat show as well on BBC Wales. So I was quite busy, you know, and I thought they meant to be a reporter. So while it was a good opportunity, I said, well, I'll pop to see you, but it'll be about 3 weeks. And he said, oh, do you think we've got 3 weeks? I said, well, why not? And he said, oh, we're looking for somebody to host the actual show. I went, oh, don't be silly. Put the phone down. I thought it was my friend winding me up. And he rang back and he went, Alex, it's Gareth here. I said, I think I lost you. And I went, no, I put the phone down. I said, you're messing around, you're winding me up. And he said, I'm not winding you up. We need you to come to London. So I was in Abersoch, which is where Bear Grylls lives. Mm-hmm. That's nothing to do with the story. And
but interesting all the same.
Thank you. There was a festival there called Wakestock, and it was wakeboarding. And that sounds a bit random, but I was doing extreme sport at the time, not taking part commentating. And so I left Wakestock early on the Monday morning after the festival had finished, got on a train to Euston, went across to the BBC and met Gareth and Sandy, who's the editor. And they said, right, Jones, I was like, all right, we're looking for a host. And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, we need a host. I mean, you can't tell anybody, but the current host is off. And so we did 6 weeks of auditions with various people, and ultimately myself and Jason Manford got the job. Like, unbelievable.
Extraordinary.
But what was weird was the minute I went in there and met them and sat on the sofa, it felt like, oh, yeah.
And given what you've been doing up to
it.
that point, it's quite nice to sit down for a living.
It was quite nice to sit down. Well, in fact, when they rang me and told me I had the job, I was in Brighton doing a skateboarding competition. So I was dressed like Avril Lavigne, right? And then he said, right, and I hadn't answered the phone because I was in the middle of it. And he'd left a message, the editor at the time, saying, Jones, do you want this job or not? Ring me back immediately. I said, sorry, I was in the middle of a skateboarding competition. And he said, right, do not go back to Cardiff. Come directly to London. Tomorrow morning, on the train to London. I said, all right then. So I met him in London, in Paddington, and dressed as Avril Lavigne, because that's all I had with me. I had like skateboarding clothes. And you could tell in his mind he was going, oh no, what have I done? But it was too late by then. He was like, have you got anything else? No. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, have you got anything more grown up? I was like, no. So off we went to Karen Millen.
Nice.
Yeah, where he said, right, we're going to need to choose a dress in here. I was like, what for? And he said, because we're going to do a photo shoot now. And then straight from Karen Millen to Richard Ward, which is a posh hairdresser in Sloane Square, where they cut my hair
Still your hairdresser to this day?
No, they were too expensive. Where they cut my hair from long to a bob.
Yes, you did have a bob when you started.
And when I got back to Cardiff eventually that night, Mum and Dad were like, what is going on? Where's your hair gone? And why are you in a Karen Millen dress? It's like, because I now present the one show.
I've now grown up overnight.
Yeah.
Now, you had Jason Manford for a while.
I did. Lovely Jason.
Have you got anyone that was your sort of favourite that you would love back? Who did you love doing it with? Because they didn't rotate as quickly initially, did they?
No. I mean, Jason was lovely, and I still see him now, and we have a right laugh. Jason and I didn't know anybody in London when we came, so we were like two students being chucked in, and we lived in this hotel in Sloane Square, which was so weird. And I remember that shepherd's pie was £37, and we couldn't believe how expensive it was, right? And we were living this funny life where we didn't know anybody, and after each show we'd go to the cinema like two kids, because we didn't know anybody, we were far away from our families, and then we'd eat this expensive shepherd's pie and complain to the BBC that it was like £37, and why aren't you giving us any expenses?
Fair enough.
Edit that out. Anyway, and then
We're leaving it in.
and then Jason, yes, I mean, what happened, and then Jason left. And then Chris came, because I was doing Fridays with
The
Chris.
lovely Chris Evans.
Lovely Chris Evans, and we had a right laugh. I mean, I still
It's
have
high
a
energy.
huge, it's high energy, but I still have a real soft spot for him. Chris Evans taught me everything I know, really. We just really got on. I remember when I first got the job, and I sort of appeared on Radio 2 on the breakfast show one morning, and I was in a pub in West Wales with no signal, so I was standing behind the bar, and Chris was obviously in Wogan House doing the breakfast show, and he said, "You be fun." I was like, "Oh, well, great." I mean, I just couldn't even believe that my life was doing, like, it was like I was, watching it all unfold, thinking, what is going on? And then he said, "Look, I'll meet you in the Groucho." I said, "I don't know what that is." "What's that?" And he said, "It's a members club." I went, "All right then." So I drove in my Mini through London.
Because that's what you do.
Parked outside in Soho. I mean, what was I even thinking? Walked in, and there was Chris, and that was the first time we met. And he said, "Should we have some chips?" I went, "Yeah, all right then." So we had chips and champagne. And he said, "Do you want to do Friday with me?" I said, no thanks, because I'd like to go back to Wales on a Friday for the weekend. He was like, "All right." why do you not want? I said, no, it's nothing to do with you. I'm sure you're great, but I would like to have a weekend at home. What was I thinking, Mark? And then he said, well, listen, if I write you into my autobiography, will you do Friday? We'll do 6 weeks, see how it goes. I went, all right then. So that's how I ended up doing Fridays with Chris. And we just got on like a house on fire and had the best time. And just every Friday we'd go out after the show. And that's when I sort of settled into London, I think.
Well, I mean, he certainly knows his way around London.
He knows his way around fun.
Yes, and what might be available to one on a Friday.
Exactly.
But, you know, we've all grown up now. He's much calmer now.
He's an old namaste now, isn't he? He's having a namaste phase. But,
you know, I think it's a good phase for him.
Yeah, no, we've all grown up quite a lot since then. But he was brilliant. And, you know, obviously he's got his ways of working. But I always found him pretty easy.
I mean, I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
But so you're on the sofa. You're the fixed position, apart from the odd time when you choose to go on holiday. But that urge to sort of still do slightly nutty things hasn't left you, because you've done a number of the sort of sport relief challenges and that kind of thing. You still like to throw yourself in the deep end.
Well, that's
a bit,
under duress a little bit, but
is it though?
Well, you've got to do your bit, haven't you, for charity? But yeah, I just love being on that show, you know, and I don't take it for granted at all. I feel super lucky to have that job. And so when they ask, look, will you do this? Because it would be great if we could raise some money. I think, well, yeah, I've got a really nice life, so I'm really happy to help. And so we have done some nutty things, though.
Yes.
Mum and Dad weren't as thrilled.
What was the worst one? Was it in Utah? Was that the worst one?
So in Utah we climbed a sheer rock face called Moonlight Buttress. It'd have to be a comedy name, wouldn't it? Well, you could, though. I mean, there was a lot of training to climb.
No.
And they sent me up with a lovely man called Andy. And Andy's a very good climber, but he looks like Alan Carr. So you feel like you haven't got any faith at all. And we had to sleep on these sort of, what do you call them? Like a stretcher that would attach.
Yeah, they drill them into the wall. It's like a sort of slightly more rigid hammock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over
Terrifying.
4 days, we had 3 nights of sleeping overnight on this stretcher, head to toe, me and Andy, or Alan as I called him. And he was really upset because he'd just broken up with his girlfriend.
So he could have thrown himself off the hammock at any moment.
But I said, so what happened? You know, why did you split up? And he said, well, I wasn't going to tell you this really, but it was because the last time we climbed this together, she fell and she's in a wheelchair. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh.
I mean,
but
amazing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're like, I'm up here with Alan Carr, and he's not as safe as I think he is.
No, well, I mean, he said she wasn't listening. So, I mean,
her fault.
Who do we believe at this point? I don't know. But yeah, so we went through a lot together, me and Andy. I celebrated my birthday up there, and the One Show very kindly winched a birthday cake up so we could have a little slice. And then we put the birthday cake in the bag because obviously you have to take your rubbish with you. And the next morning when I was looking for a hairbrush, I said, oh, Andy, which bag is my brush in? And he said, oh, it's one of them there. So in goes the hand. I thought, oh no, I've put it in the cake. And then it wasn't cake.
It wasn't cake.
It wasn't cake.
Because
you have to take obviously your own.
You can't.
No.
You can't just go over the side of the hammock.
No, you've got to carry everything with you. It's a national park. You've got to keep it nice. And so I hadn't, in fact, put my hand in cake. I'd put it in something else that resembled
human cake.
Chocolate cake. Yeah. And of course, there's no sink. There's no water. Oh, and there was 2 days to go, Mark. I know.
There's no amount of wet wipes can solve that, is there?
Well, we didn't have any wet wipes. We just had rock face.
Now, not content with that, you then went hell on the high seas.
Oh, that was hell. That was hell.
But that sounds hell.
No, because the climbing...
Climbing a mountain with a poo-covered hand.
Oh, yeah, well, that wasn't great.
Versus rowing in a boat.
But at least with a climb, you had the most amazing scenery. And every morning we'd have a little cup of tea out of our little thermos, and we'd play Elbow One Day, which was a great song. And we'd look at this amazing scenery. So there were moments of really, I don't know, just beautiful scenery and very nice times during that climb, even though it was really hard. But hell on high seas. It was just all hell.
Was that the seas or the company?
So
because there was more than a few of you on that.
Well, I'll set it up. We were on a Volvo Ocean Racer, I think they call them, and they travel at sort of 45-degree angle across the sea, because the point is they're racing, and so they're all stripped out. There's no luxury in them at all. It's back to the bones, so to make them as light as possible. And there was a gang of us, I think maybe 5 or 6, who were going to go on to this ship for a week, and it was basically the Irish Sea in February. Right?
I've been, as you will probably know, I've been across that sea a number of times on a ferry.
Yeah, horrendous.
And most people are, there's 2 camps on that Irish ferry.
Yeah.
The ones that are drinking Guinness and the ones that are throwing up into plastic bags.
Yeah. So everybody, touch wood, I wasn't seasick, but everybody else was, apart from Angelica Bell, to be fair. So the idea was that we had to crew the boat. So we'd do 2 hours on, 2 hours off, all through the night. And it was absolutely freezing. Absolutely freezing. And the sea was so rough that they had to, it sounds awful, but they'd have to tie us to the side of the boat for our shift because it was too dangerous. And then just these waves would crash over us for 2 hours. Honestly, it was absolutely horrific.
Well, I suppose it'd take your mind off what to do with your poo.
Well, there was that, but everybody was so seasick. And there was this comedian called Hal Cruttenden.
He wasn't laughing much.
And, he was so ill. He was grey, and he was lying on the floor, and he was cold, and he was just full diarrhea, full being sick. And I remember just dragging him by his arm to where this bucket was on a gimbal that they called a loo. And he was so ill, poor thing, and we were like 1 day in. Honestly, that was the closest thing to torture ever. But the funny thing was, it was so dangerous they couldn't film it. So we couldn't raise any money because nobody could see us.
Well, you still managed to raise £1 million.
Yeah, I know, but it should have been 10.
Yeah, for that, it should have been 20.
That was, I thought life was ending during that week.
So no more challenges of that nature in the offing?
Oh, there might be. But now we see, with all my new television husbands, I say, well, this would be great for you to do. I'll stay here, and then you go and do that.
Especially if there's one of them you'd like to move on. There's a really dangerous one coming up.
Because they are dangerous. And also, I just think...
Off you go, Roman.
I mean, the thing is now... I could be selfish before, but now that I've got the children, I feel like I've got a responsibility to them.
Well, it sounds to me like you're holding it all together. Without you, the whole thing would crumble.
Well, no, that's not true. But as much as I would like to go and, obviously raising money is important, and I will do that 100%. But these dangerous challenges, I've got to be a little bit more sensible now because I've got to think about
I mean, I used to do lots of stupid things as a younger person, but now I look at them and go, no. And my son thinks the funniest thing in the world is to find a situation where he has to get me at height.
Oh, you don't like heights?
Watch me panic.
Oh.
No, mid-30s, suddenly develop vertigo. Don't know why. Now
it's quite handy though. Gets you out of things.
Down here.
Yeah.
I've got something else that you love.
Toast.
No, cheese toasty.
Oh,
cheese
delicious.
Toasty.
Delicious. I mean, come on.
Oh no. I mean, you don't need to sell me on the cheese toasty.
I love a cheese toasty.
Do you know when I was working as a chef?
Yeah.
You basically subsisted on these
because it's very hard, this one.
It's Mayfair. It's quality.
I mean, what would be quite nice, it doesn't matter, but what would be nice would be a little bit of pickle or...
Now, are you a Branston's girl or do you like posh pickle?
I like anything.
Really?
Yeah, I like Branston.
I like Branston.
Yeah.
But now near me, which you've got to take the family over to, we have the cheese shed at the Nettlebed Creamery. And I promise you, it is the greatest cheese toastie known to humanity. I mean, this one's good, obviously.
Well, I'd argue,
Yeah, go on.
actually, that I've got a better one.
Go on then, where?
There's one in a pub in central London. So the Langham Hotel opposite the BBC,
Oh, the Wigmore round the corner.
the Wigmore, they do a foot long.
Yes, they do.
It is like catnip.
But
I don't think I've ever tasted
It's got a bit of onion
any-
in it and stuff.
It's amazing.
It's a bit more. The farm shop around the corner here that's related to this Mount Street restaurant, they do a good cheese toastie. But the thing about the Nettlebed, and this is the kind of thing when you move out of the metropolis you get into, right? The Nettlebed Creamery, the cows are there, the creamery's there, they make their own cheese, and they serve it there. And there's something where it
quite
just
nice.
hasn't travelled, and honestly, the queues, and it's so coolly done. It's such a great place to go.
Is this like a Saturday morning kind of
This is
little
our
visit?
So when we walk Murphy, the giant beast,
Yeah.
it's about an hour and a half walk. So you've earned your cheese toastie.
Well, I thought you said it was in Henley. And you live in Henley.
Well, it is, but it's in Nettlebed. It's a little bit up the road.
Oh, the place is called Nettlebed.
Yes.
Oh, I thought the actual creamery was called Nettlebed.
Yeah, well, it is the Nettlebed Creamery
Oh,
on
fine.
the Nettlebed estate,
Right,
which
fine.
weirdly was where Ian Fleming grew up. That was his
Doctor
family home.
Who, I was going to say. No,
not
Bond.
Doctor Who, James Bond.
James Bond.
Yeah, that was his family home. So it's the Nettlebed estate.
Wow.
And the Fleming family still live on it. And they have this creamery and they make these fantastic cheeses and they just stick them in, honestly.
And
We'll
can
have
you
a-
have
we'll have a
coffee
cheap-
there? Is it like a whole,
Yeah, you go in,
a whole morning?
they do great coffee, they
Ah.
do great pastries afterwards.
That is my ideal morning out.
You sit on hay bales in a barn
Great.
and eat it all. The
Great.
cheese, they've just got a sort of ship's container where you they make everything and people queue up. But I mean, it's hundreds of people.
Lovely.
It's
So I
great.
think Henley's quite close to us now.
Yeah, no, it is.
Is it?
It is. And you get all sorts of extraordinary people up there on a regular
Do
basis.
you?
You regularly see people like Jeremy Irons.
I don't like him.
No?
No.
No? Oh, what's,
Sorry, that came out a little bit quick, didn't it?
what's
Well, no, I don't mind him now. Backtrack. But he was one of the guests that was really difficult.
Really? Did he get
Yeah.
a bit thespy on you?
Is that why you said that? Were you leading me
No,
down
no,
that?
not at all.
Oh, is that
I
just
didn't know you had
coincidence? Yeah.
It's a cheese shed
He-
coincidence.
right,
I
I'll tell
talked
you-
about the cheese shed for 10 minutes just to get into Jeremy Irons.
But the thing about Jeremy Irons is he lives in this beautiful, what looks like a castle. And if you see it in a picture, it's pink, right? Well, do you think he'll accept it's pink? No, he won't.
Really? What does he think it is?
I said, "Oh, there's a lovely pink castle," and he said, "It's not pink." It is. Look. And he was like, "No, those are
you think
orange
he's-
bricks." It's like, by the way, does it matter? But apparently it does. And then we were talking about his wife, who is called. What's his wife called?
Oh.
Can we do a Google? Because this is
yeah,
worth knowing.
Yeah. What's his wife called? Come on, Johnny.
It's something,
You're on the laptop
right?
over there.
Maybe it's either Joan or Sinead.
Sinead. Isn't his wife Sinead Cusack?
Cusack, right?
Yeah.
So I called her by accident Joan Cusack, because isn't there a Joan?
There's tons of Cusacks.
Right, fine. Well, he got in a right mood.
Really?
Yeah. In a right mood.
And was this on the One Show?
Yeah.
So you have that thing that Dad always used to slightly complain about, because when you've got essentially a chat show
Yeah.
that has half an hour,
Very short.
you've got little or no time with the guests.
No.
So we can't have a long conversation
No.
like you or I are having. And it's
No.
trying to get, the difficult thing is
Something
get something
decent.
out of them.
Yeah.
And if they are worried about their brick colour or the exact name of their wife,
It just seemed to me to be, he was just being awkward. And life's too short.
well, it's like, I remember Dad's famous one was Anne Bancroft.
Oh gosh, yes, I've
And-
seen that clip.
But that was because none of her team had told her that it was live. And
We
she
get
was
this all the
she
time.
was terrified of sitting down and talking live.
But the thing is, the way I see it, you're going to have that conversation anyway. Does it matter whether it's live? None of us edit ourselves in real life. And actually, I think you're right. The live element, mostly actors get very antsy.
Do they?
Well, because I think they're not used to live television, and then they're also not very comfortable sometimes in being themselves because they spend their life playing
Being
somebody
someone
else.
else. Yeah.
So
I
when you
don't
ask
actually
them
know
to
who
be
I am.
themselves and have a chat, it doesn't go down very
Well,
well.
the other person.
But
all
he's
right.
redeemed himself. Let's just go back to Jeremy Irons,
Yeah.
because he has redeemed
Good,
himself.
good.
Because we then ended up on Radio 2 together one day, and he said, I saw the piece in the magazine. And I said, what are you talking about, Jeremy? And he said, I saw that I was in the top 5 most hated guests on the one show. I was like, well, lots of time has passed since then, so you've probably slipped out of the top 5 now. But actually then we had a laugh about it, and I learned, Mark, never, ever to slag off guests after that.
Now, we have something very, very special for
Oh,
you, which,
okay.
Which, as I understand it, you are what could be described as obsessed with. And we have the lovely people at the heysweetieshop.co.uk to thank for this. Are you ready?
Gosh, I am excited.
This is going to be slightly noisy.
Oh my goodness, I love these. How did you know?
Johnny.
Johnny, can we open them?
Yeah, of course you can.
Have you tasted these before?
Never.
Right.
I'm interested.
Okay, so it sounds disgusting, okay? Because
So describe it to the people
right,
at home.
so these are called pineapple lumps, which in itself,
Not a
don't
great
put
brand
lumps in the title, but it works for them. So these are kiwi, they're New Zealand kind of confectionery. And Charlie introduced me to these because he is from Auckland. And once you pop, you cannot stop.
I think that's a Pringle.
Well, yeah, but it's better.
Are they? All right, I'm going to try one.
It's sort of chewy.
So hold on, it's a chocolate covered.
But the chocolate, don't focus. A cheap chocolate, right? But
What's wrong with
inside,
cheap? I don't like posh chocolate.
no, not me. There's yellow squidginess.
Oh, that is good.
You try not to have another one now. Impossible.
Well, luckily, I've got bags of it down here.
Amazing. I
Because
think
the
we should
lovely
offer
people at Hey
these around.
Sweetie sent us loads of them.
Really? They couldn't believe their luck, could they? That somebody actually
I mean,
liked them.
These people have donated a large amount of money to be here. Shall we give them a bag?
Absolutely.
I mean,
one
obviously,
each.
we'll keep these for ourselves, but I think we'll allow them a bag. Go on, there you go. Oh, that hit Johnny's computer. How good are those?
It's an odd taste, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm just going to keep eating them. They're very good.
And I think they must be good
I mean,
for you. There's
I've got to be
pineapple in them.
honest. I've got to be honest. There is absolutely no taste of pineapple there for me at all.
Oh,
it's
there's a-
nice, but it's not. It's
But
definitely
if you look for it, there's a bit of, you know that drink lilt?
with
There's
the totally
there's a hint-
tropical taste.
Yeah, a hint of lilt.
They're like chewing lilt. Hold on. Sorry, could you keep your chewing down to a minimum over there? We're trying to do a podcast. You're just stuffing lumps in your mouth. What I like is on the front here they proudly say no artificial colours.
I'm amazed that you've got hold of these. I mean, they're quite niche.
I mean, look at the colour of them. Maybe they should go with an artificial colour, but they are great.
The thing is, like anything, if you eat anything 7 times, you love them. And I think that's what happened with me. I was really hungry once in the car, and that's all we had was pineapple lumps, and now I love them.
Now, seemingly,
What?
they're quite calorific.
No.
Yeah, one serving, which is 6 of them, is... Oh no, I thought that's it. Is that... Yeah, that is. That's 464 calories.
Well spent.
I think I've hit my daily quota already in about 4.
Very nice.
Right,
Share them
so-
out.
Here, well, you
I'll
hold on to some
I'll
of
take
those.
that for. I'll take these to the one show later.
We've got to that point in proceedings where I unveil the Spooning with Mark Wogan blindfold.
Oh my gosh, this
Which-
makes me a bit nervous.
Which I will require you to put on. Because
Okay.
it's time for your spoons. It's time to spoon with me.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so. Although I once played, you know, what's in the box when your dinner was in the box?
Oh, yes.
When you put your hand in the box and your dinner was in the box.
Yeah.
That stays with me. It was such
What,
a terrible
more so than the-
experience, and I haven't
more
been
so-
blindfolded since.
More so that, but hold on. You don't need to be blindfolded to put your hand in the wrong thing.
No, well, that's true.
But there we go. There is your blindfold.
Okay, lovely.
I'm just going to tidy. I'm going to tidy up a little while you
This
put
is
that on.
it's a nice padded.
Well, it's also
number, isn't
it's
it?
also got a little bit of a scoop so that it doesn't mess with your eye makeup. Right, I'm just going to put my things back in the bag. Should be taking those home and feasting.
What was that
upon-
program where they used to put blindfold on and headphones,
Oh,
and they were in the box?
yeah. Was it Celebrity?
Was it the Generation Game?
No, Mr. and Mrs.
Oh yes, Mr. and Mrs.
Mr.
I
and
feel
Mrs.
like I'm
with
on
Derek Beatty.
that. Derek, who's that?
He was the presenter of.
No.
He was the Derek Beatty.
I mean,
was,
I don't remember that far back, Mark.
well, you're younger than me. That's why.
Oh
Right.
God, I can hear things.
Yeah, no, we're just moving stuff out of the way. So I am going. You've got the blindfold on.
Yeah.
I am going to slide in your first spoon. Now I will feed you.
Okay. Because I was
Right.
going to say I have no idea what a spoon is.
Well, that is the idea.
Fine. Oh no! Whoa!
Well, what?
I don't know. What
Come
is
on.
it?
Now this is quite. I might go for that one because it. No, I'm going to go for that one because it's a slightly
Oh,
smaller
God.
mouthful.
Oh,
What? You haven't even.
I don't
hasn't
know.
got anywhere near you yet.
but it could be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but what is it?
But it was stuff that you put on your questionnaire. That's the clue.
Yeah, but I vary from day to day. I might not be feeling that today.
Well, let's see how we go.
Okay.
If you do choose to hurl, you won't be our first one. That's all I'm saying.
Are you joking? Who was sick?
Now, open wide.
Oh no, I don't. I can't.
No, it's fine. I'm not giving you. Look,
Okay,
it'll be
here
lovely.
we go. Okay,
it'll be
just-
lovely. All
Would
right.
you eat it?
Yeah, of course I would.
Eat it now then.
What? You want me to eat the spoon first?
Well, is there two?
Yeah.
Right, you eat it first.
All right. I'm going to eat one now.
Let me
and you
hear
can
your
it. Look,
noise.
right next to you to prove that it is edible.
God, it's so weird listening to somebody eat a spoon or something.
Delicious.
Okay.
Here you go. Now, when it goes in, I need you to describe the flavours, the textures, and try and guess what it is
Oh,
you're
my
eating.
eyes are watering already. Right.
Open
okay.
wide.
Oh!
There we go.
Oh! 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 Oh!
No,
Oh!
that's not really the description.
Oh! Oh!
What would it be? Come on. Hold on, she's going.
Oh.
Don't spit it in that bag. Here, you've got a napkin there. You need to spit it out.
Oh!
Okay. Alex Jones is a spitter.
Hang on, I'm not saying it's a terrible flavour, but it's just the texture. What on earth is that?
Well,
oh,
we
I
can't
know
s-
what it is.
Go on,
I know what it is.
go on.
Because I've gone off meat of late. And there was a hint of meatiness there.
There was
But
definitely.
it's the meat I love. As in, that sounds so awful. It's corned beef pie.
Well, no. Take the blindfold off. That was
Hello.
Jamie Shear's famous London dip sandwich, which is now.
Oh,
Here, let me remove that napkin that you've gobbed into.
oh
and put
God,
that down
I'm
there.
so sorry. It's very unbecoming, isn't it? But I just couldn't. That was
There's
just
a fresh
too much.
napkin for you.
I
Mum.
never said I liked a dip sandwich.
No, you said you didn't like meat, and I was trying to change your opinion.
No, absolutely
No,
terrible.
still terrible.
Oh, it was like eating
If you
somebody's
ever-
arm. Honestly, it was like blindfolded, and that is a bad combination.
Jamie, I love
Sorry,
your
Jamie.
London dip sandwich.
What is it in a London dip sandwich?
So
Out of
it's just
interest.
it's a beef sandwich, and then what you get is a big sort of jug of gravy with it, and
Was
you
that-
dip the sandwich in it
Fine.
and eat it.
Was there a little bit of Yorkshire pudding in that? There was some sort of sponginess.
Yeah, that's the bread.
Oh no, that is not for me. Maybe if I wasn't blindfolded and I could look at it first, but oh, that's a lot. Yeah.
Well,
No offence, Jamie.
put it back on, because we've got your second.
You know, I'm not even vegetarian. Maybe I should be.
Oh, but you've gone against meat. Right, so the blindfold is on for the second time.
And by the way, Mark,
Yeah.
just FYI, that was a very big spoonful.
Well, you know, we
So-
don't like to underserve people
Yeah,
here
but
on
people's
Spooning.
mouth size is different.
Just open a bit wider, you'll be fine. Right, so this is your second and final spoon I have for you here. It's not as big a mouthful, okay? Do you need me to eat it to prove it's food? I mean, have I not already proven that I'm only serving you food today?
Yeah, but
I got you pineapple lumps, for goodness sake.
I know, which I'm
Well,
delighted with.
Johnny did.
But that last thing, you sounded like you really enjoyed it.
I did.
I mean, oh,
But
I'm not sure I can
but
trust you.
No, but hold on a second. The whole premise of this podcast is I don't believe there's such a thing as a bad ingredient.
Oh no. What? Seems so ridiculous. Of course there is. Okay, you eat it then, I'll listen.
No, hold on. You just come on. Open
Okay.
wide. I have a suspicion you'll like this.
Okay.
Open wide.
1,
2, 3.
2, 3.
Here comes the train.
Oh no, I can smell fish. Okay, go.
Ready?
Oh.
Now, if one of your children ate like that, you'd be very upset with them, wouldn't you?
Oh, is it cheese and onion pasty? No?
No.
Oh no, it's fishy.
Ugh. We
It's,
established it was fish.
No, it's prawn cocktail.
No prawn cocktail. What are you talking about? You
It
put it
is.
down as one of your favourite things of all time.
Oh. Fish finger sandwich.
No.
No.
What else did you put down that you said you absolutely loved?
Salmon.
There's a little bit of maybe salmon in there.
I tell you what, that's quite nice actually. It's quite creamy.
What
Oh,
is-
it's a pasta.
No.
Okay. It's a pie.
No.
It's well, it's very creamy. So it's salmon mixed with something. There's a little bit of herbs in there.
It's two types of fish. There's salmon and another fish in there.
Oh, it's fish pie.
No.
No, it's well, I don't know. Fish is all the same. I don't know.
It's,
Fish is
take
fish.
it off. It's an Arnold Bennett Omelette. Which
Oh
you
my
said
god, I
you loved.
love those. Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, will you be having the second spoon or finishing the first one? There we go. Eat the whole mouthful.
That is.
It's good, right? I mean, I
Did you
love
know
it.
about that?
Yeah, I love an Arnold Bennett omelette. It's one of my favourite things. And the one they do here is spectacular.
I mean, because they're quite historic, aren't they? Arnold Bennett Omelette.
But weirdly, devised in the hotel.
In Claridge's, no?
No,
Savoy.
no, the one opposite where you work every day.
In the Langham.
In the Langham.
I always wonder, though, who is Arnold Bennett?
Some bloke who liked a fishy omelette.
That is lovely.
It remains to say thank you so much for being
Oh.
brave enough. Not that we doubt your bravery.
Have a pineapple lump to celebrate?
Well, pineapple lumps to celebrate for us, but also we're going downstairs now to have lunch with these lovely people who have spent a small fortune to watch us do this today. So I must say thank you to them. I must also say thank you to Jamie Shears. I love your food.
So do I.
Yeah, okay,
But
just checking.
he's probably got other sandwiches.
He has got other sandwiches. We can go downstairs and try one now.
Fine.
He's actually got a fish finger sandwich.
Delicious.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll see if he's got any salad cream.
Yeah, fine.
But yes, that is all for this week's Spooning with Mark Wogan. As ever, thanks to the team here at the Mount Street Restaurant and, of course, Jamie Shears for putting his culinary skills on the line week on week. And, of course, to our lovely auction winners here today, doing great things for children with cancer. And if you like what we're doing here, search out Spooning with Mark Wogan on social media and you'll get all the updates and all the information about the latest episodes. And until then, which will be hopefully next week, Stay beautiful.